The rich get richer because they don't do dumb stuff. Now, my last video consisted of what choices to make as a new investor to the markets. And I want to continue that topic primarily because most veterans or those who have invested for a long time continue to make the same blunders over and over. I don't want you to fall in the same trap. Listen to the end to hear Warren Buffett has to say on this particular topic. I think it's going to blow you away. Dave Dooley here, a 40-year veteran of the stock market, and once again to give you sound advice that has been proven over and over, and yet the average investor keeps falling for the same sales pitch. Yet again, last week, I had over 5 separate families come into the office with almost identical portfolios. It's insane. Now let me set the stage for you. Most investors, when asked what their risk tolerance is, will answer like this. Well, Dave, I want growth, but I lean more towards conservative or moderate. When asked to be more specific from a percentage point, they respond 75% conservative and about 25% they're willing to take on in risk. I've never in 40 years had anyone from 30 years of age to 70 say, Dave, I'm all in. Let's shoot for the sky. In other words, they're expressing to the advisor or the firm, I'm more concerned to holding on to what I have than getting great returns. Now this sets the stage for what we see weekly in clients' portfolios, getting set up for failure. 2 major factors contributed to this, and both are psychological at their base. First is FOMO, the fear of missing out, and loss aversion. Fear of missing out gets us off the couch and into the same game, which is a great trait in anything we do. So being willing to get with a professional fiduciary is a great start. But next is risk or loss aversion. We know we need to be investing for the future, but are so scared of losses or giving back that which we've worked so hard to save, we default to diversity, meaning we bet on every horse in the race. Imagine going to a football or a baseball game and betting that both teams will win. It sounds ridiculous. Welcome to the sales pitch of diversity. Let's look at the first 6 months of 2023 and use 2 examples of diversity. Let's take the NASDAQ 100, what is called the Qs. Here you are betting on the top 100 non-financial companies with the largest capitalizations, primarily innovative and what most people refer to as tech-heavy companies. Now this year alone, the Qs are up over 45%. Yes, that's right, 45%. Had you just bought the 100 index, your $100,000 today would be $145,000 in just 6 months of 2023. However, a deeper dive would show you if you remove the top 7 companies of that 100, your return will be closer to 19%. If we take Vanguard's total stock fund or Fidelity's total stock fund, making up over 3,886 different companies, you'd be up about 16%. Now I'll take 16% in 6 months all day, every day. But look what you left on the table. Had you bought just the top 7 companies of the 100 Qs index, your return to date would be over 100%. That's right, you would have doubled your money in 6 months in 2023. Who are they? Microsoft, Nvidia, Apple, Meta, Tesla, Amazon, Google. So I can hear people right now yelling at the screen saying, Dave, that's 2020 hindsight. And more importantly, had you owned these companies last year, you would have been down 75% in 2022. So what's the solution? It's simple. Listen to me. Remember, when asked what your tolerance is, 95% fall towards risk averse, meaning they don't want the latter result like 2022 or 2008 or 2001 when the market went through major downswing. Well, who wants that? When you bought your house, did you get homeowners insurance? If you had a mortgage, you didn't have a choice. The bank wants no risk. How about your car or boat or expensive jewelry? Do you cover those with insurance? Your life. If you've got debts or children and you're afraid you may die, do you cover your life so your family can carry on after you're gone? If I buy Apple stock or Nvidia or Meta or Tesla, do I cover those positions with insurance? Most people, the answer is no. And my question is, why not? And more importantly, why doesn't my advisor recommend that I do that? So instead, they recommend diversity to reduce risk across hundreds, if not thousands of companies, of which 99% of the investors out there today have no idea who these companies are, if they are run well, if the products are any good, or even if they will be around 10 years from now. Diversity is not the answer, but protection from fast-moving markets or situations that are out of your control. A car wreck, a fire, an unexpected illness. These are things you insure for, and it all has to do with your money, your investments, your retirement. Covering risk, default, and spreading risk are two different subjects altogether. I want you to take 5 minutes and listen to the two of the greatest investors of our time on the subject of diversity.
I'm very interested in your policies on diversification and also how you concentrate your investments. And I've studied your annual reports going back a good number of years, and there's been years where you had a lot of stocks in your marketable, equitable securities portfolio, and there was one year where you only had 3 in 1987. So I have 2 questions. Given the number of stocks that you have in the portfolio now, what does that imply about your view of the market in terms of, is it fairly valued, that kind of idea? And second of all, it seems that whenever you take a new investment, you never take less than about 5% and never more than about 10% of the total portfolio with that new position. And I wanted to see if I'm correct about that.
Yeah, well, on the second point, that really isn't correct. We have positions which you don't even see because we only listed the ones above 600 million in the last report, and obviously those are all smaller positions. Sometimes that's because they're smaller companies and we couldn't get that much money in. Sometimes it's because the prices moved up after we bought them. And sometimes it's because we may be selling the position down even. But so there's nothing magic. We like to put a lot of money in things that we feel strongly about, and that gets back to the diversification question. We think diversification is, as practiced generally, makes very little sense for anyone that knows what they're doing. Diversification is a protection against ignorance. I mean, if you want to make sure that nothing bad happens to you relative to the market, you own everything. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that is a perfectly sound approach for somebody who does not feel they know how to analyze businesses. If you know how to analyze businesses and value businesses, it's crazy to own 50 stocks or 40 stocks or 30 stocks probably, because there aren't that many wonderful businesses that are understandable to a single human being in all likelihood. And to have some super wonderful business and then put money in number 30 or 35 on your list of attractiveness and forego putting more money into number 1 just strikes Charlie and me as madness. And it's conventional practice, and it may, if all you have to achieve is average, it may preserve your job, but it's a confession in our view that you don't really understand the businesses that you own. On a personal portfolio basis, I own 1 stock, but it's a business I know, and it leaves me very comfortable. So, do I need to own 28 stocks in order to, have proper diversification? It'd be nonsense. And within Berkshire, I could pick out 3 of our businesses, and I would be very happy if they were the only businesses we owned and I had all my money in Berkshire. Now, I love the fact that we can find more than that and that we keep adding to it. But 3 wonderful businesses is more than you need in this life to do very well. And the average person isn't going to run into that. I mean, if you look at how the fortunes were built in this country, they weren't built out of a portfolio of 50 companies. They were built by someone who identified with a wonderful business. Coca-Cola is a great example. A lot of fortunes have been built on that. And there aren't 50 Coca-Colas. There aren't 20. If there were, it'd be fine. We could all go out and diversify like crazy among that group and get results that would be equal to owning the really wonderful one. But you're not going to find it. And the truth is, you don't need it. I mean, if you have a really wonderful business is very well protected against the vicissitudes of the economy over time and competition. I mean, you know, we're talking about businesses that are resistant to effective competition, and 3 of those will be better than 100 average businesses, and they'll be safer, incidentally. I mean, there is less risk in owning 3 easy to identify wonderful businesses than there is in owning 50 well-known big businesses. And it's amazing what has been taught over the years in finance classes about that. But I can assure you that I would rather pick, if I had to bet the next 30 years on the fortunes of my family that would be dependent upon the income from a given group of businesses, I would rather pick 3 businesses from those we own than own a diversified group of 50. Charlie?
Yeah, what he's saying is that much of what is taught in modern corporate finance courses is twaddle.
You want to elaborate on that, Charlie?
You cannot believe this stuff. I mean, it's modern portfolio theory, and
it has no utility. But I mean, it will tell you how to do average. But you know, I think anybody can figure out how to do average in 5th grade. I mean, it's just not that difficult. And it's elaborate, and you know, there's lots of little Greek letters and all kinds of things to make you feel that you're in the big leagues. But there is no value added.
I have great difficulty with it because I am something of a student of dementia, and I have.
Yeah, we hang around a lot together.
And I can ordinarily classify dementia, you know, on some theory structure of models, but the modern portfolio theory, it involves a type of dementia I just can't even classify. Something very strange is going on.
If you find 3 wonderful businesses in your life, you'll get very rich. And if you understand them, bad things aren't going to happen to those 3. I mean, that's the characteristic of it.
By the way, maybe that's the reason there's so much dementia. If you believe what Warren said, you could teach the whole course in about a week.
Yeah. Yeah, and the high priest wouldn't have any edge over the lay people, and that never sells well.
Right.
These are the smartest, wealthiest people in the world today, talking about the ignorance of diversity. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett, and Mark Cuban call it plain stupid, for a lack of a better word. Don't get caught up with a firm or advisor that is not willing to put the work in to own great individual companies that to continue to outperform the competition that you use every single day. Warren Buffett says it best when he says a great company is well protected against the backdrop of risk and time. They're resistant to major competition, and 3 of those type companies will be better than 100 average businesses in your portfolio, much less than 1,000 in a mutual fund. Listen, if you want to know more about how to reduce risk by owning individual companies than betting on every horse in the race, visit our website, join our newsletter, and we will walk you through the simplicity of owning great companies and protecting those positions. I want you to learn. Don't be afraid to ask questions to your advisor or firm and say, why am I not participating in these type of gains? Why do you have me in all these mutual funds representing thousands of companies? Click below to subscribe so you can continue to get our videos as soon as they're posted. Till next time.